bad boy Blue faces a third suspension. Will Mitch Robinson challenge? Ooh. Hello everyone and welcome to AFL 360. Yes, it's footy from all angles, and aren't there plenty of angles at the moment? I'm Anthony Hudson, filling in for Gerard Whateley, who is off on Commonwealth Games duties. Mark Robinson's here as usual. Welcome, Robbo.
G'day, Hutto. Good to have you back, champ.
Nice to be here. Gonna have a nice, friendly time, aren't we?
We will. Is our mate swimming? Is he retired? What's he doing?
James Magnuson, no, he's swimming.
Really?
Hopefully we'll be able to cover that during the few weeks.
Nah, it'll be good. Great to have you here, pal.
Well, it was an amazing weekend, wasn't it? As I mentioned, the expectations were, let's be honest, were pretty low, weren't they?
Yeah, they were, but as we've said a lot of times, mate, this sport that we all follow gets questioned, it gets ridiculed, it gets stamped on, but it always wins out. And on the weekend, we all went in thinking, what's going to happen here? And we had 5 really good. Some of them were fantastic, and some really interesting games of footy. None more so than the Fremantle.
Well, I was going to say that was clearly the most amazing result of the weekend, probably the year. Obviously, that and the Giants Swans were the 2 biggest upsets. But this is bigger because of where it is in the season.
No, it's not. It's bigger because myself and Gerard had a bet,
and because of the bet that the whole football world was waiting to see.
I got out Pulp Fiction to watch with Gerard's kids because I was going to take them to the movies.
So just for those that can't remember, the bet was nine in a row.
They're going to win 9 in a row, and I said they won't do it, and I'd given it up. And
so you were going to have to take Gerard's kids to the movies?
I was going to have to take them to the movies, and I joked I was going to put on Pulp Fiction and they can watch that scene where they put the put the syringe through the breastplate and just see what their reaction was going to be.
No, that would have been good.
That wouldn't have been great.
Do you think Gerard would have gone to the movies just instead of the back, just to make sure?
Probably.
I think so.
I would have had him in the candy store. But my bet was that he had to wash my dog Tiger if Fremantle lost, and Tiger's going to get a wash.
And Gerard tweeted this on Saturday night. Does anyone know a professional dog washer?
He has to do it. And we're going to do it on the show. I don't know if we're going to do it here. Here he is.
What a beautiful... He looks clean.
You reckon he's beautiful? Don't they look like their owners?
In some cases, yes.
He's a crack. He doesn't know, of course. He is a smart dog, but he doesn't know. And I'm going to roll him in mud. I am going to make him filthy, and I'm going to take him around to Gerard's house. Bring the cameras with me. He hates getting... He will rip Gerard to shreds. I can't wait. I cannot wait. Anyway, it was a bit of fun.
All right. Well, there was plenty of fun on the weekend to be had. Who's your Monday hero?
I'm on St Kilda and the football club. I can go into Rewald, I can go into Stanley, I can go into a lot of them. Hayes, the kids who stood up. Mine was just the team. I think it was 11 in a row, Hutto. No one even gave them a chance. I don't think people even were caring about this game. And to go along, and well done Saints fans, you went along and supported them, and they brought the best defensive team we've seen in football to their knees because they outworked them and they outran them, and they had 2 key forwards who took marks and kicked goals. It was as good a performance we've seen from St Kilda for 2 years. It was great. Did you watch it? Did you call it?
Absolutely. No, I didn't call it. I was here.
Oh, you were here. Yeah, you were here.
We spoke to Ross Lyon before the game. We'll talk more about Freo later because this is about St Kilda. But, gee, it was just stunning, wasn't it?
And the fans. I mean, and the footage of going off the ground, and just these young fans. And you know what, Gerard, Hutto, I promise I won't do that again.
I know you will.
I'm just so familiar. There was better games, but I think I wrote about St Kilda today, even though they played on Saturday, because it was the goodness of footy, and that's why I wanted to write about the Saints. What about you?
I kept waiting for Freo to come back. They never did.
They never did. What about you?
Well, I did have the pleasure of being in Adelaide yesterday, and again, it wasn't a game with great expectations, but this was always going to be something that we could focus on. It was Dom Cassisi after his 228-game career. It turned into a much better game than we expected, and it was almost a disaster. Dom chipped the ball across the half-back line late, and for a moment I thought it was going to be the turnover that cost him the game. He had another shot for goal, which surely should have bounced through for a goal and didn't. But just the respect that he's shown. And before the game, we had him mic'd up. He chatted to Bernie Vince, and you could, they've probably come to grips a few times in showdowns over the years. Just the respect he's been held.
The Melbourne boys there. Well done.
Yeah, we do this so well now. But he chatted to Dean Cox before the game. I think it was his coach as a junior, the umpire. Really? And they just talked, and he's done. He was done. I mean, a lot of people have said surely he could have hung on to the end of the year, but he just couldn't. And I think the respect was in the air yesterday. And thankfully they got over the line.
Did you see the footage of him on the show last week of him announcing his retirement?
Yeah, amazing, wasn't it?
Well, it was terrific, and well done Port Adelaide for showing that, and well done Dom Cassisi.
Right. Well, Dean Cox is the other story, of course. That's the big story of the day, and he has announced his retirement, which will be at the end of the year. So he's going to play out the year, and obviously for the West Coast Eagles, he's been a magnificent player, and I guess you could argue the greatest rookie of all time.
Obviously, he had to announce my retirement at season's end, so I suppose it's been a decision that I've been thinking about for a little while. Spoken to people really close to me about my future, and then to tell the playing group just before was probably the hardest thing I've done. But to finally say it's finished, yeah, it wasn't easy. You know, I've become a life member of this footy club and hopefully a life member of the AFL, which is, you know, I'll hold close to my heart. Been in grinds throughout seasons for a particular game here and there, but, you know, when it happens early in the first and you're just trying to really get through this game, you're thinking, well, maybe it might have just gone past me a little bit. Footy clubs go on. It's happened you know, when you speak to the playing group, I've sat through a lot of the retirement speeches to the players, and you know, from here we go and do footy fundamentals. So we go and train after this and just continue on as normal, where, you know, for the last part of this season I get a chance to really enjoy my time, and I suppose once that finishes, reflect on the career I've had.
So he'll turn 33 next month. He's going to end up around about the 290 odd games, depending on how many he plays between now and the end of the year. And they're chock full of superstar ruckmen, aren't they? But he's been revolutionary in a way.
Oh, he has. In my time in footy, I'm going back about 1980. He's the second best performed ruckman I saw. Simon Madden is one, Cox two, and then we're looking at pretty similar types. We had a discussion in the office about it today. Similar types to Cox in Peter Moore,
yep,
and Jim Steins, the ability to move around the ground. But when Cox first arrived on the scene, I think most people had thought, here's the prototype of the ruckman. Like Cooter was going to be the prototype midfielder, Cox was going to be the prototype ruckman, which is an ability to go up in the ruck and then transform himself into a 203 centimetre ball gathering midfielder. We hadn't seen anything like it. I said to him a couple of weeks ago when he was on, when he broke the record, I said, on behalf of 400,000 Supercoach players, thank you, Dean Cox, for making us, you're one of the first picked every year. I would think, and tell me if I'm wrong here, Hutto, I would think that it went quickly for Dean Cox.
I think so.
It did.
Yeah.
We picked up on it about, I don't know, 10 weeks ago, and we had a discussion. Kingy McClure, will he go on? I said, I don't think he will go on, because he was struggling. He was struggling to be the link player, which made him so good. Yeah, which is his weapon. Yep. You know, and he was struggling to keep up the play. He wasn't being used because he didn't have the agility to involve himself. The ball was being moved so quick, or it's going around the back flank, and we've all watched him. But I don't want to sit here and say this is what he's got to. I'd rather sit here and say
what he did.
This guy, you called him magnificent. He's a future Hall of Famer.
Yep.
He was part of a midfield huddle of Cox, Judd, Kerr and Cousins, which I have to say that is the best starting four in the history of the game.
Hard to argue with that. I mean, that midfield got them that premiership, really, didn't it?
Oh.
They had a pretty good defence. They had an adequate forward line, but that midfield was just awesome.
They had 4 players in the top 14 players in the competition. It was awesome.
Well, Dean Cox is going to join us very, very shortly, but while we wait for Dean, we'll talk about the results from the weekend, and a number of amazing results. We'll talk about the losers shortly, but the great winners probably from the weekend were Geelong and Essendon, and it was the way the Bombers did it when they came back from adversity that was so pleasing.
This game hanging on a knife's edge as far as the Bombers' finals aspirations are concerned.
They wouldn't want to concede the first one, the Bombers. They've got to stop the Bulldogs here. Palm down, it's
Stringer! What about that for a start? He's got 5. Almost a one-man band inside forward 50. He's got 7 of 11. much closer. The sub to Olio scores a level.
Chapman gives the handball to Diolio, and Diolio locks up the score.
Oh, he's plucked it from the back. Carlisle.
It's Carlisle. Oh, he's taken a beauty. It was about 4 deep. He had no right to get anywhere near that. Oh, Carlisle's done it again.
He is just on fire. Unstoppable.
This for number 8. And he gets it.
That's the captain. That's why he's the captain, Jared. He's their best player and he's their best leader.
Bontempelli to level the scores, and he does. Carlisle's in the square. Winderlich might be third man up. He's up. Winderlich, wonderful. The Bombers are home. In a tight one, they've come from behind in this final quarter.
Siren. And the Bombers win by 7 points. Bombers win. Huge win. 101-94. And the Bombers have won 6 of the last 8.
They've won a very important game to go into a break with and look forward to the end of the season.
And the Bombers look like they're going to be safe. Yes, they are safe. Yes, they are in the 8. Yes, their season is still alive.
Oh, well, they've been in positions to win this year and haven't been able to do it, so that makes that victory all the more sweeter. Of course, Bomber Thompson's going to join us with Roosie a little bit later on. Now the contenders. We are down to 10. I think the Eagles still obviously a very, very slim chance, but the Bombers on 40 points. We'll have a look at their run home shortly, but they're probably going to start favourite in 4 of the last 5 games. So they've almost got a foot into September.
Yeah, they have. They've got a foot and a half. But we saw on the weekend, if you're vulnerable mentally, you're going to get got. It's a long campaign. What they can build on, and they're one of there's a lot of ways you can win a game of football. Coming from 4 goals down and winning in the last quarter, kicking 5-2. It just gives great confidence, You'll be able to build that, we're never out of the game, There's a lot to like about Essendon at the moment. I mean, Jake Carlisle he's a pretty special kind of football. He's got rare hands indeed, and even the greats of the game we've been commentating over the weekend, Hutto. And, you've seen Derm and Carey and others have been talking about this young man. I don't know if you can replicate that, but if he gets anywhere near it, he can take Essendon to new places.
You wrote he's the hottest player in
he is. He's the hottest player in the comp right now
for the last couple of weeks,
including Buddy. He's win games.
It was interesting debate.
Wins games.
We'll talk more to Bomber about just what these performances mean. Whether this is it from here, is he going to be playing deep and be that full forward? Obviously, there's an injury to Joe Danaher, which means that he'll be the P for a little while to come.
Yep.
And whether this really is the breakout and he can continue or not, or he's still got more to prove.
He's got to find consistency. He's 22 years of age, Hutto. Joe Danaher's 20, and what Essendon have in those 2 players is a combination that could be there for 10 years. It might not be this year, it might not be, but in years to come, if you're an Essendon supporter, you'd be pretty happy with what you got.
All right, we'll return to the weekend's fallout shortly, but Dean Cox was ready for us. He's been busy on the phone, Robbo,
Thank God.
Which is no surprise. Dean, congratulations. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, Robert. Thanks for having me.
Well, why, I guess, is the first question, and why and when did you come to the conclusion that it is time to hang them up?
I suppose probably over the last week. I've known probably for a month or 2 that my career could end at the end of the season, and went down south with the wife, and I suppose from there had a really good chat, obviously with mum and dad and some teammates that I'm really close to, and decided that this will be my last year, and just to announce it and get it out in the open, and then just enjoy my last 6 weeks of footy.
Congratulations, Coxie. Everyone who watched you play, no matter who you barracked for, would recognise you as a champ of the game, so that's just a terrific fillip for you. I watched you play all your career, we all did, and this year I saw signs where you just weren't able to do what you have been able to do for 11 years, which is get in, link in and play. I want to know, how much does that impact mentally when you're playing and you're trying to do something and you can't do it?
Yeah, I think that's probably the reason why I'm retiring. I think if I was to go on next year, and over my whole career, I've had very high standards that I've tried to set upon myself, and from there, as a matter of if I can't meet those standards or expectations that I have on myself, well then, it's time to give the game away. And I've just been fortunate throughout the time that I've had success along the way and enjoyed every minute of it.
When did it eat away at you, or are you pretty realistic to say, you know what, I'm 33 years of age, I've had a great career, age and the body just got me?
Yeah, I think you always would love to play for as long as you possibly can, but I'm a realist as well. I certainly understand the rigours of AFL football, and not everyone. I'm lucky enough to have played until I'm 33. I've been with players at our football club who have been cut off well short of 30, and so I'm just grateful that I've had the opportunity for such a long period of time.
What about the accolades, Coxie? People talk about you as the ruckman of your generation. We were talking earlier, and it's only my list. I put you second behind Simon Madden. How have you liked, or how have you accepted the accolades that came today? Hamish McIntosh on Twitter said that you're your best player he'd seen.
I suppose it's always certainly flattering to hear those from other people involved in the footy industry. Well, footy just goes so quickly from year to year, week to week, that I suppose now when the season does finish, I'll get a chance to really sit back and reflect on what I've done as a player and been fortunate enough to do.
And Dean, you talked about the joy that you've had from the success, and we're still seeing now the premiership year. You also lived through a fantastic era of rivalry against the Sydney Swans. I think you kicked the ball in that Leo Barry marked from memory. What was it like playing in those contests?
I've had a huge amount of respect for Sydney and still do. I think from the battles we had, we knew what we were in for, and no matter who was in front throughout stages, and the other side was going to rally and come really hard back at you. And I suppose the 05-06 we're probably lucky we both got one, because I'd hate to have lost two. Love to have won two, but hate to have lost the two.
Well, congratulations again. As Robbo said, you've been a magnificent player for both the West Coast Eagles, and in terms of rucking in this game, you are a giant in every definition of the word. Congratulations, and best of luck for the future, which I know from what you've said today will involve coaching, so thanks for being with us.
Thanks very much for having me, guys.
Dean Cox joining us there, and he's indicated that he wants to coach, and it'll be interesting to see whether other clubs come for him or he stays over in the West. Speaking of the West, of course, you talked about the joy of St Kilda earlier on, Robbo, but the other side was the Fremantle Dockers, and no one was more frustrated with their loss than Ross Lyon.
And there it is, a mighty win to the Saints. A mighty win indeed.
We've won 8 in a row and they've lost 7 out of 8. You'd think we would have won today. Clearly there's something somewhere in our preparation that has meant we haven't been ready to play. We're a no-excuse footy club, so we're not looking for excuses. We were beaten by a better team today with greater effort. We seriously need to improve our footy. The actions we saw today were unacceptable. There'll be some prices to pay. There's no easy days in the AFL. Well, I think on the surface you'd have to say our attitude wasn't great, was it? I don't flush anything down the toilet. I'll have a good look at it. We'll have a really meaningful review. And certainly not panic stations, but it's not ideal. I would have liked to go to the breaking with a better feeling than this.
You just asked me off air, how did this happen? I mean, it still remains the great question. Is it the bye that played funny things with their head, do you think?
A few of them stayed over. But I hope not. You would think at this level that they would be. Ross Lyon says, once he says 100 times a year, we're an any time, any place kind of team. They turned up to play. They didn't turn up to play, and St Kilda took advantage of them and blew them out of the water. Fremantle got credits in the bank with me. I would imagine with you as well.
Absolutely.
It was a really bad loss, but knowing Lyon, we all know what he's able to manipulate his teams to do. He will use this as a positive. He will use this as right. This is the start of our run into the finals. Our 2 months to go. If we don't do what we want to do, this is what happens. And if St Kilda can do it, no disrespect to St Kilda, what are the other teams going to do? That's how I see it.
The magnitude of the loss was unbelievable.
How can they gave up?
So there's that element, the effort, which again you wrote about this morning. But what does it actually mean in terms of the run home, which we'll look at in a moment, but in terms of how we actually assess Fremantle? They obviously missed balance on. They're confident they're going to get Walters back probably for about the Hawthorn game, around 21. Sandilands will return from Griffin and Stephen Hill. I mean, they're 4 quality players that are out of that team. So how do we take that into account?
I reckon you have to be internally in the camp. Like Ross Lyon spoke about effort. Now Ross Lyon knows that more things went wrong on the weekend than just effort. Now he'll know who did their role, who didn't do their role, who defended. Just for example, who did the high half forwards play their role? Did people roll back properly? All those details in games. It wasn't just about effort. It looked like that because they were just exposed. Any team that gets exposed like that, Hutto, and you've seen enough, and I've seen enough football. We all have. A, it looks like they're not trained, but B, everything collapses. The game plan, the game style, what they want to do collapses, and then it looks like they're not trying. I said they gave up. You know what? They probably did at the end. It just got so hard, and the Saints were rang on top of the ground. But there's probably mechanics in that team that he would be concerned about after the weekend.
Well, as you and Jared discussed last week, the loss now means top 2 becomes harder, makes qualifying final much tougher, and the ramifications after that could be significant for Fremantle. Talking of ramifications, what about North Melbourne? They've been up, they've been down all year, so in some ways we shouldn't have been surprised what they delivered against Carlton on Friday night. David King led the analysis.
Kangaroos are the story. The Carlton Football Club were too tough, too consistent, too disciplined, and they just simply wanted it more. Now, that's an indictment on the playing group from top to bottom. I mean, that game was sliding from early in that first quarter, and nothing really changed. The criticism from external to Brad Scott is that nothing changes. Once the game's set on a course, it stays on that course, and there's not enough done for the game to be altered. I don't think they're anywhere near honest enough during the breaks. Nothing changed. What changed? What tactical move did they make in the box tonight to change the game? I just think that this was their time, and they've let it slip on the back of really poor efforts, and it doesn't have the hunger attached to it that it should. The shin boner spirit for me is in real question, Jared, and it's games like this that break down the fabric of what your club actually stands for.
Still hard to know. I mean, that's very strong opinion from David King. Hard to know what is wrong with the North. Are they just not good enough, or again, does it come down to attitude?
Well, everything comes down to attitude. Everything does. They cannot knock over the top sides. Hutto. They just can't. And everyone say they're not a good side. They have weapons. But what happens... I'm throwing a dart here at a wall. If I would say it is, I think they've got big heads. I think they go into games thinking, you know what, we have got so much talent to burn and we see it, that I think it's just going to happen. Now, I know other people said it over the weekend, but it's 2 days after the event and writing about them and thinking and looking and watching the game, watching half the game again, and saying, where did it go? Where does it go wrong? I look at North Melbourne and say, you know what? What always lets North Melbourne down in their losses, always, is their underperforming forward line. Now, I can reel off names, and Drew's been sitting with us for a couple of weeks. Drew had a bad 12 weeks. He was okay on Friday night. You know, Aaron Black, where's he gone? Bob Brown went out.
Struggling.
Yeah, Tarrant's injured. They are in 6th spot and have had basically a non-performing forward line for the season. So do you say, not a bad effort, North, for getting there on a poor performing forward line, or are they still growing as a team? Because what happened in that forward line is a real tipping point for me.
Well, it's going to be interesting. I know this is looking ahead and they're still concentrating on this year, but what they do at the end of the year, how are they going to assess that?
I don't know. Does Drew go on? Maybe not. I don't think what we've seen this year...
He thinks he will.
I'm sure he does, but I just don't think he can be the focal point. I think Drew's got to be the second, and then they've got to find another key forward, and they are struggling.
Well, I'm told Daniel Wells will return to the VFL maybe for half this week, so they need to get him back, and he could make a difference to their midfield.
Oh, no doubt. He's a dynamic player. He creates scores.
He does.
That's how good of a player. You know, they're the best players. The people who get the ball in their hands and turn it into scores. Everyone would love them.
Enough of us on our own. Let's bring the coaches in. Paul Roos and Mark Thompson are in next. Mixed results from the weekend, but there's plenty to ask both.
It's just what happens, you know. You players go through bad patches, you know. Tom Hawkins played Trock, and I copped all the abuse in the world for playing him, and I just said, just be patient. Like he's gonna take time. He's gonna be all right. He's gonna be all right. Well, is he all right? Yes, he is. People give up on people too quickly, and it's just like Jake. You know, Jake was crook the week he went to Perth, and he hasn't really fired. He thinks he's working hard, but he's actually might be still recuperating from that. You know, like just give people. You don't really sort of know. Like I give people chances, mate.
Right short, Carlo. A good spot. Up early. What a plus. Squeezes it to the man of the moment. Carlisle. This for number 8. And he gets it.
We're happy for him. Really pleased. He's been incredible, really. People say satisfying. Oh. Yeah, it is. Yes, it is.
He's a coaching genius, but we knew that anyway. Bomber Thompson and Paul Roos, welcome.
How are you? Where's Jared?
He's off to the Commonwealth Games.
That's all right. You're a good replacement.
Thanks very much.
Great replacement.
I didn't think you two got on.
Because of last year, it was awkward, wasn't it? But we got through that, Bob.
You have repaired the relationship.
We're still a little bit frosty.
Hey, mate, glass is always half full with us.
Oh, good.
Not half empty.
How satisfying, you sat back and said last night that it's satisfying, obviously, with Jake Carlisle, and it must be, because it reminded me a bit of Brad Otten's, the old all of you, and the faith you have to show in Tom Hawkins as well.
Thompson's stubborn. Oh, no, it is good. I'm just happy for him, basically, not for me, that he's playing good footy, and now he's shown really that he could play both ends, and that's a real asset to have.
Did you have to change your approach to him along the way, or were you just giving him the same message over and over?
No, I just coached him. I supported him. I worked with him, and he slowly built his form up. And it's good news. It's just what you do. That's what we get paid to do, Ruzi, isn't it?
It's a big haul. Eight's a big haul to him. I didn't see the game, but that's
he marked everything again.
That's a great haul because you can. I mean, now that you can put the ruckman back, you can, drop a half back. You can slide your wing up. You know, it's hard to get 8.
Hang on. So tactically, one player doing that can just completely stuff up the opposition because they've got to be wary of him at all times. Just to fill you in, he took, was it 14 marks? He's taken 31 marks. He's taken 31 marks.
What it is, it's a challenge to keep doing it because generally, let's say if you kick 4 I don't know what he kicked, but let's say you kick 4 in the first half. Half time, right, boys, we're going to drop the ruckman back, and we were just not sliding fast enough. We've got to get to Carlisle. So that's the challenge. It's because the ball delivery can be exactly the same.
Yeah, we ended up just dumping it in for a period of time. They're thinking, if we get it in there, he'll just mark the ball, and that's wrong.
But that won't happen. That won't happen all the time, though, will it?
No. Did he play deeper this week, though?
No.
Because a lot of those grabs were pretty
close to goal. Yeah. Maybe with Joey out. Yeah, he might have had more time there.
What other aspect, Bomber, did please you? I mean, coming from behind, 4 goals, looking gone, because you spoke about playing September. You've coached September. You need players when the critical juncture in a game comes to stand up.
Yep.
You know, and the young fellow went off from the Dogs. Wallace changed the game. One injury changed the game. Yeah. Heppel got away. Winterlook stood up. Chapman stood up, and I thought myself watching the game, this is leadership. This is leaders standing up. Ryan Griffin really put his hand up for the Dogs. I thought
it was good. I think it would have been a good game to watch, wasn't it? I was really good somewhere else sitting, but
it was good.
Yeah, it was good.
It was good.
I was happy that the other thing I was really happy with is that we looked like we were just going to lose at half time. There was just no talk. You know, it was one of those days where there was nothing going on with the players. 3/4 time the same, and I thought, we might be in a bit of trouble here. But
did you give it away, or did you?
No, I never gave it away.
So what do you do to get?
Well, I just said at 3/4 time, the only way we're going to win this is if you look like you want the footy in your hands and you want to play footy and you want to, enjoy the game.
There's a pretty basic thing called effort, isn't there?
Yeah.
Like sometimes, as much as the players think they're giving effort, you can walk in at half time and as a coach you realise that it's not optimum effort. It's probably 80 to 85% today.
Well, what did you say at half time on Saturday? Were you happy with the effort or were you happy with the attitude to take on the game? Because I reckon the game started changing. You started getting back in the game in the second quarter.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, hang on, have a look at this. I don't know if the effort went up or the players improved. Did you give it to Jack Watts at half-time because he was inspired after that? But you took on the game in the second half, and it was really noticeable.
Yeah, I think it happened halfway through the second. I think they were 7-2 up. They kicked 6 in a row, and I thought credit to our players. The week before against Geelong, the week before that against Freo, similar thing happened. We weren't playing that bad, but all of a sudden the scoreboard's ticking over. We've missed 2 easy shots early. Scoreboard starts ticking over, so the players are looking up at the board. So I was really pleased with the 3 goals we kicked late in the second, and then to come out and to get in front with some better football after high. It's probably our best.
It was good.
It was our best two-way footy game. I thought after half time we were able
two-way defend and attack. I thought that the second half was.
Yeah, second half was the best we've done all year. I think in that regard.
Where were all your players when Dawes had that ball? When he was trying to kick it to one of you. Where were your players?
Yeah, look, he knew. I mean, Dawsey knew as soon as he was actually coming off the ground for a break, and he knew as soon as he kicked it, that it's gone to the wrong spot, and that's just the fatigue. I mean, we
might take you through just a few of those.
Thanks, mate.
Did you drop your phone like you always do?
I appreciate that. I don't want to smash it.
That's true.
Yeah, we'll start with Nathan Jones. I mean, there was a few incidents, as you said, late in the game. At this stage, you're in front by 3 points.
Why isn't that a free kick?
Yeah, no, it was a free kick.
It was.
He played
I don't think Nathan heard the whistle, to be fair to him. So that was probably one where obviously. Yeah, we'd love him to just stop that. You'd love to stop because, as you can see, we're in front there and the ball gets squirted out.
Look at this tackle, mate. Look at this tackle.
He come from the bench.
Pedersen came off the bench.
Right.
So, absolutely. In that situation, if Nathan hears the whistle, absolutely. Give the ball back to Jets, slow the game down. If you can find a forward target inside 50, you don't need to be up-tempo at that particular stage.
So close. Yeah. So close.
Then the ball comes back to Chris Dawes. He takes the mark because, as you said, Pedersen laid that tackle. But again, here it is.
Yeah.
So Dawes takes the mark,
and that kick's a great kick because that's advantage side.
Would you let him kick the ball backwards here?
We probably need to go forward if possible. Yeah. But if 3 blokes, you want to keep hold of it. But I think this is where it goes a bit awry. You can see the poor guy at the top right screen, and then guys going to the left, and he knew as soon as he laced that out, it's gone off the side of his boot and gone to the wrong spot.
You were pretty cool there.
Yeah, I probably didn't see it that time. And then it goes down the ground.
Good tackle. The effort was good, wasn't it?
Yeah. Just a good chase, and then some good body work from Schultz, and they put him back in front.
Goal too.
Yeah, it was a good pressure goal. Look, then they're the moments. I think you talked to Bomb before about. They're just the moments, the composure and the ability to execute. And I think that from a positive point of view, at least we're talking about that now. And as I said to the players after the game, last year, that incident, Jones's incident, doesn't make much difference because instead of losing by 80 points, you would have lost by 74 or 68 or something like that.
What about Jack Grimes? We've had him on the show. He's an impressive young man. How did he take that mistake at the end?
That's probably when I say more acceptable. I reckon he knows the game time situation here. There's not a lot of margin for error for this kick. I mean, to be fair to him, it's sort of boundary side. The guy's right on top of him too.
So he went over really quick.
So he had to make a really quick decision. So that's probably one you go, look, you pulled the trigger on that. You had to go quick, and look, unfortunately, he's missed that kick. So, but. Bomber would be the same. You probably take the mistakes as long as you're given it, as much as they're frustrating and much as we cost ourselves. But Kenny could probably go through the tape as well and say, if we had got up by 3, he would have had some things that he would have wanted to look at also. So you can accept it as long as you've got effort and as long as you're in the game and as long as the players play, with the spirit and the effort. And as I said, the second half we felt was our best two-way running half. We were able to impact the scoreboard, put pressure on them, and then it gives our blokes a rest. And that's what we've been trying to tell them. If you can,
and they're happy.
Yeah, that's right.
And when they're happy, they can run harder.
Exactly.
Can't they?
Either way, it's a great effort to be like you've had a good game against a good team, and Adelaide.
It's a tough place.
Snagged 2 wins in 1 year.
You said after the game that you hadn't seen the Wingard Jack Watts free kick. Have you seen it yet?
I actually didn't. I watched the replay today, and sometimes you can go back over it, but we normally watch it from camera 3, which is not the replay camera. So I really didn't go into it too much, to be honest.
We'll let you have a little look at it here. Just kind of
another white lie.
So this was just on 3/4 time. Watts had a brilliant quarter. And that was paid, and the AFL have indicated today that they're happy with the decision, that it was front-on contact. even though he hit the ball initially. And then
So the one with, can we show the one with Cam Pedersen and Lobby then?
You sure you haven't seen this today?
No, I didn't see that one, but can we have a look at the Cam Pedersen Lobby one?
We haven't got that.
So that's
cut,
fine. I'm happy that that's paid, but we might want to look at Cam Pedersen versus Lobby then and see whether that one should have been paid as well.
It's the consistency. I thought that was a free kick. I thought that was a free kick.
I'm not debating that, but all I'm saying is if that's fine, if that's a free kick, then I would suggest that maybe Cam Pedersen probably could have got one too. But that, in the swings and roundabouts of a game of footy, that's what happens.
Just a couple of things for you before we let Essendon go. Is Dustin Fletcher not a problem? It can never be a problem. He's a champ of the game. Is it an issue for the coaching staff, Dustin, at the moment? No matchup against Port. You seem to not give him away, but you got him out pretty quickly. Second quarter, I think he was out of the defence on Sunday.
Someone had to get out, Robbo, because we played. Our plan was to maybe put Hurley there, but Hurley was doing a pretty good job, and Hook went there, but didn't really look good there. So we always needed another one to play part-time there, and it happened to be Fletcher on the weekend.
When will the decision be made on whether he plays on?
Well, it's completely up to him. So he might decide that he wants to play on now. I haven't really spoken to him about it. So it'll be probably soon, I suppose.
Has he got the mentality, or has Essendon got the flexibility to play him on? And people have been saying it for years, to become a 14-game, 15-game player, or not?
I don't know. I haven't broached up with him either, mate. But
is the
close
game
to 40,
ready,
isn't he? So we shouldn't sort of be.
That's what the biggest thing is, and this is the hardest thing for coaches, because a player can be going, and I'm not specifically talking about Dustin because I haven't seen enough of Essendon week in, week out, but a player can be going really well. But when they get to a certain age, we've all seen it can happen really, really quickly, and that's the difficulty when you face that situation. You go on from, and the player would be thinking the same thing as well. Gee,
of course he would.
10 weeks ago I was going really, really well, and now I'm really
great
struggling.
Debate, wasn't there? Like whether you should finish with some in the tank,
a little bit in the tank,
or risk it, and then maybe
that's
risk
why it's
playing
so
VFL
hard
next
for
year.
players to make the decision.
Well, there's plenty making them at the moment. Just Joe Danaher, we mentioned earlier. It's such a shame he's going to have surgery on his collarbone. What's the outlook for this season?
It's only 3 weeks, I think. Yeah, it's not too bad. I didn't know he was having surgery until I heard it on the TV. So
where's the statement from the doctor?
Well, I haven't had much phone action today. I just put it away. I just had a day off. So.
Why'd you miss your press conference last week? There's a bit of chit-chat. You didn't want to face it?
Didn't want to face you.
I wasn't
Were you
out
there?
No, I've been out there, wasn't there? Just you had a meeting, or did you think it was going to be dominated?
No. You got to face up to that stuff. No, it's not that at all. But I was just thinking about the press conference. You get asked the same questions, don't you, every week?
So let me ask you one.
And the post game.
Let me ask you one that you probably asked yesterday. Then, as a role, have you worked out what James?
Yeah, I feel like I'm falling out of it. Now I'm going down. You give me a dodgy chair here, the Fox guys.
Well, you haven't been asked about James Hird for about 12 minutes.
Now I'm smaller than you.
There must be a problem with the chair there. Have you worked out what role James is going to play?
No, not exactly. He comes back pretty soon, so we'll have a chat. Yeah, so it's just been hard to talk to him. I've only spoken to him once this year. So when he gets back, we'll certainly have a chat. And, as I said on the weekend, it won't be a distraction to the players. It can't be. Players have been distracted enough, I reckon.
Have you spoken to the players about it yet? Or is that going to happen after the bye?
No, we're just concentrating on footy, Robbo. We try and not talk about much else. I think it's only fair to them.
I want to play it down, because it's a big thing. It's James Hird and it's Essendon and it's you. You do know that it's going to be a circus, don't you? When he comes back. So when you say let's not be distracted by it, you're going to have to be strong-willed players not to be distracted by the circus.
Yeah. Well, we are, but that's our plan, is to keep it as normal as possible. So I'm not sure how that's going to look or how it's going to act out, but that's our plan.
Do you know that Roosy's chasing Nick Malcheski? I read that over the weekend.
Yeah, I just saw that on the run sheet.
Have you spoken to him? What number is he going to wear?
I haven't spoken to him at all.
Yeah?
Apparently, I just saw that on the run.
What is he, 28?
He'd be older than 28, wouldn't he?
He's All-Australian. I think he's close to All-Australian this year. He's been ripping.
I think he's in career best form. Yeah, he's been outstanding.
So you're interested, Rosie, then?
No, I haven't spoken to him. So you learn a lot when you come on these shows.
Yeah?
When you watch them and you come on them, you learn a lot. So credit to you, Blakes.
Would you be after a guy like Melchesky if he's available? He's out of contract. He's a free agent.
A guy like Melchesky, we definitely need. We definitely need a running half-back that can use the footy. I mean, I think that's... even now, defenders would acknowledge that. I mean, I think we've got a great group of defenders, but we probably still need the real ball-using, slice them up, line-breaking sort of... I think our defence has been terrific, outstanding. But, probably a guy like that would be very beneficial for us.
So important in it to have the good ball users, high backs.
Yeah. Is that why you got three back there now in Wenderlich, Dempsey and Hibbard?
Yep.
Hibbard was a bit cold.
Yes, he was.
I reckon if you miss one game of football these days in footy, and I'm just talking about Hibbard, you miss one game of footy.
It's also training, though.
You lose.
Yeah.
You
a lot
lose
of guys
touch.
this time of year aren't doing much training, and it starts to tell as well.
He looked big. Probably boys were stirring him up. He looked a bit big.
Did he?
Yeah, he said it was just the white shorts. But we're not
going to have a go at anyone for burning a cup.
I think he might want to send a message to him tonight, eh?
He was a bit upset. You ever think? I reckon you're a little bit upset that Wayne Carey was getting a lot of accolades.
No, not at all, mate. No.
Who's the forward coach?
I was just stirring up Bass.
Yeah.
Nathan
Bassett's the forwards coach.
Yeah.
How'd your meeting with Lingy go, Rosie? Do you think he wants to coach?
Look, he certainly hasn't made that decision yet, and it was just an informal chat. And I think he's been public in saying that that's probably the next stage for where he's got to get to. He's just got to make the decision to want to coach and probably get in an assistant's role, and then probably once you get in the assistant's role, then you can understand what that takes, and then he'll probably make the decision. If he does, I suspect if he makes the decision to become an assistant, then during that period he may then decide, do I want to be a senior coach or not?
When did you chat to him? How long ago?
Last week.
Oh, yeah. So
near your mob in Port Melbourne. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was nice. Nice coffee shop there.
Oh, you went there, did you?
It's not your one, no.
Have you spoken to him yet about maybe being...
You're not talking to me, Robbo.
No. He has said he may be interested in a role at a different club next year.
He has said that publicly, has he?
Did I?
Yeah.
Where?
So you learn a lot
in
tonight.
In an interview with me.
I've learned something too tonight.
You do learn a lot tonight.
I've learned something, yeah.
And who wins out of Hawthorn and Sydney?
I'd like to see the teams first to see.
Really? That close?
Yeah.
That close?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Where's it played?
It's in Melbourne.
MCG.
Is Gibson coming back?
Well, Gibson's playing.
Yeah.
And we're just talking about Hibbard playing one game and was out of it. Goddard took a long time to get in. And I looked at a couple of your players. Can you miss 8? How long is it? Do you know?
May 9.
May 9 to now, and you're going against the best player in the competition.
Well, we'll see.
Right now,
I'd definitely play him, but probably what the debate would be is because he's great third up, he's great support. Do you play him, on a small and you try and get him to come across? It's a big job playing on Buddy, but if anyone can do it, he's as good a defender in the competition.
Pretty hard to leave a man in the Sydney because they're all so good.
They're all good, yeah.
You don't want to leave him.
And that's what Sydney have got. They've got probably the most talented 22 if they get their best 22 on the field. So it is hard to drop off someone there.
Is he playing the best he's ever played, Buddy?
He's certainly in 08. He's certainly in 08 form.
Pretty close.
You've got him in 2 weeks too. Good luck.
Rosie, have a good week off. We'll see you again next Monday night. And speaking of Hawthorn, Alistair Clarkson is the guest on the couch, which follows 360.
Get the job done. A couple of froths after.
One thing he can do, please, and that is run. He has to kick the goal because he didn't hand it off. He has kicked the goal.
They actually got clobbered there. Well, he's starting to get up.
Down, Dempster.
Oh, wow.
Hawkins the target a little too deep for him. Stevie J lurking around the corner.
Taryn Ray, he bends it, he kicks it.
Good third man up, Gibbs going. Yep, he's done it again.
Towards a full forward. Oh, played it from the back. Carlisle to Robertson. And there it is. A mighty win to the Saints.
The kick is on its way. And Jay Shields strikes a mighty blow for Port Adelaide.
The boys got over the line, so I can't thank them enough.
To my sister Madeline, who's in hospital, I love you very much. I can't wait to come in and see you and keep trucking. You're the bravest person I know, and I love you. Cheers, mates.
From our weekend encore to our 360 seconds with thanks to Hungry
Before it starts, Roosie stole me rundown.
Is he? We'll have to share mine.
We were just having a go at me for not reading the rundown,
and
Roosie stole it.
First question is me to you. How great was that from?
Oh, that's one of the highlights of the day. I mean, Riewoldt had every opportunity to be a little bit self-indulgent with the way he played, self-indulgent with his teammates, and he spoke about the game and his thoughts were with his sister Maddie. And you know, a lot of people in footy know Maddie, and I do. And good luck with your challenge there, Maddie. Was that Reece Stanley's breakout game?
I think, well, it was, but I think we need to still see him do it a little bit more. I think the way St Kilda structured up their forward line really helped. He led out to the 50, around about that 50 area a number of times. And look, no doubt it showed what he's capable of.
Oh, spectacular, wasn't it?
But it was interesting talking to Alan Richardson this morning. He said that he's not a natural footballer, so we still need to see more of that. But he's learning and he's shown what he's capable of. Now, me to you.
Yep.
What is next?
You don't have to say that. You don't have to say that. Just read it out.
What's next?
Like me to you.
Okay, I won't say that. What's next for...
What's next for Jared Waite?
What's next for Jared Waite?
Thank you, Hutto. Really slick. Well, there's three choices. Jared Waite stays at Carlton, signs a contract and plays his career as a one-club player and takes the punt of playing for AFL next year. Jared Waite gets signed by Carlton, then traded, and they get something for him, or he walks out of the club via free agency.
And what do you think?
I'd like to see him stay, but I think he might have been hurt a couple of times this year, getting dropped. I think he'll have a lot of clubs pursuing him. And if they can convince him to get excited about the new challenge, he could be out of there. For Jared, Hutto, Anthony. Well, it's got MO to GW.
Right.
That's why I said it.
The Giants played all... You don't have to say that.
The Giants played all three key forwards. Will they be there in 2014?
My gut feeling is yes. But it will depend, I think, on, obviously, individually what the players want to do and their assessment of whether they will lose one of these in the long term anyway, and also where they finish on the ladder, what's available in the draft. You know, if they want to get Petrarca, the young gun midfielder, maybe they'll look at it. But my gut feeling is they'll keep him. That's my gut feeling. Next question, should the Dogs consider trading one of their young midfielders to get a key forward?
And we're talking one of the GWS key forwards. Well, if they're going to do that, they'll want Bontempelli, and the Dogs will say, sorry, we're not doing that.
Why do they package one of them with a high pick? Not Bontempelli.
But they're not going to get rid of McRae either. They've finally got,
So the answer's no.
The answer's no.
Okay, that's
There's no answers no. They can't sell it, mate. They can't work so hard and then give it away. Is this worth 2 weeks?
This is Mitch Robinson on the weekend. It all comes down to whether that contact was high, and I think it was on balance. If they challenge, and they could challenge, they can challenge without him losing weeks, but he would lose points, have the points carry over.
All he had to do was not jump off the ground. He wouldn't have got him lower in the jaw.
So I suspect they probably won't challenge him. Have other teams worked out Port Adelaide, Robbo?
Worked out Port Adelaide. They've worked out that to play Port Adelaide, you've got to be ferocious on the contest. To play Port Adelaide, you've got to really run hard and work hard defensively. And that's a given. You've got to do it. Paul Rouge saw it out the weekend. We've got to run. But once they get the ball to challenge Port, you've got to challenge them defensively as well, which Melbourne did on the weekend.
And their defenders, I mean, they'd love to get that loose player, put pressure on them.
Yeah, they did. I wouldn't say they worked out. I just think they're having a little bit of a sloppy patch, Port Adelaide. Is tanking dead?
For this year it is. It's amazing to see the bottom teams. I think it's certainly the first time in memory we could have so many teams with 5 wins. It goes back a long way. We've got 4 teams at the moment on 4 wins. So I think it's dead for this year. But if there's a clear number one as a prize in years to come, we might see there a debate.
We'll discuss it on your last night.
Okay, quickly, 9. Did you like Billy's point?
I didn't hear it. What is
this one?
Oh, this. Oh, yeah, just took everyone back to childhood. Did you ever do this?
I don't think I ever did.
I don't think I can't remember, but it was good.
I love it.
It was good.
I'm not sure if he's played enough games to be doing it.
Oh, who cares?
But we loved it. It's Players' Night tomorrow night. Jordan and Bob ahead of a blockbuster, of course, for the Hawks.